Right now we're just going to be talking about when to use teleport, the summoner spell teleport, as opposed to an ignite or an exhaust as your second summoner spell. On the top or mid lane, teleport can be a viable option at times. You almost always want to run flash on a top or mid lane champion, and for a second spell you can either run ignite, exhaust, or sometimes teleport. Those are the most common summoner spells to run. Occasionally heal is viable on some champions, and ghost on some others, but mainly you're going to have flash and then either exhaust, ignite, or teleport. Champions that you want to use teleport on are champions that are more of farmers and pushers, champions that are not really aggressive killers in lane. You don't want to use it on a champion that wants to play aggressively, because you're going to want to have that ignite spell, because you need that for finishing people off and having the maximum damage in lane to get the most kills and to snowball that lane. An ignite will help you do that better than a teleport will. Teleport is great on champions that want to be farming and pushing and then have the time to go help other portions of the map. On mid laners, you want to use it on a champion like a Galio. It's been used effectively in tournaments on an Annie to teleport to the bottom lane and help control the dragon. So on a Galio or an Annie, or someone who can come in and land a powerful CC spell and get a good gank on the bottom lane, and those are the type of champions you would use it on. You wouldn't use it on a champion like LeBlanc, who wants to have that ignite. You wouldn't use it on a champion like Pantheon, who also is an aggressive laner and really can't afford to hamper his or her early game effectiveness by taking the teleport spell. Teleport is great against champions that have the ability to turn your lane into a farm lane. If you cannot kill a champion even with ignite, going teleport is a great idea because it will allow you to control the map while static farming in lane with the enemy champion. You can both farm in lane, but when the time comes, you are able to go to help your team quickly, and your lane opponent will not be able to do the same. Champions like Cho'Gath or Yorick, who are strong laners, who don't really need the exhaust or the ignite to survive, but who are not going to be trying to get kills, despite the fact that they are strong laners. For the most part, they can get kills if there's ganks or if the enemy misplays, but they don't always need to have the ignite or the exhaust to try to force those kills like other champions, like a Rumble or like a, as we said, a Pantheon or a Renekton or a champion of that nature. Then having the teleport is a very good spell, because you can use your tankiness and pushing ability to push into your opponent and then to teleport down and help secure a dragon for your team, and then port back and get to lane before you lose a significant amount of creeps. Now, those are the champions or the types of champions you want to use teleport on. Also, a Singed is an excellent choice at times, depending on your playstyle with Singed. Those are the type of champions you would want to use a teleport on, but when to use teleport is also very important. Teleport has a very long cooldown, so it's important that you choose the right times. Good times to use it are when your team can secure a dragon if you were to come down. If you know that your lane opponent is in lane, and you can safely teleport down and secure the dragon quickly with your team, that is a good use. If you can teleport to a wood in either the tri-bush bottom lane or in one of the lane bushes that your team has placed there, if you ask your team to place a ward there and able to teleport behind a pushed opponent and get a strong gank off, that is one of the best times, and that will lead to often a dragon. You can use it simply to get back in the lane, but you only want to do that if the creeps are pushed to your tower. If you will lose a significant amount of creeps if you do not teleport, you don't want to simply go back and then teleport back if the lane is frozen, because you are using a 5-minute cooldown when you would not be missing a lot of creeps if you just ran back. And then that whole benefit of the mobility is completely gone for a very, very minimal gain. It's important not to just use the teleport simply because you have it. You have to have a strong reason to use a summoner spell with this type of cooldown and with this type of power. Late game is a great time. You can split push very effectively. Often the bottom lane, you want to put a ward on Baron, tell your team to group in either mid or top and push that, and always carry wards on them, so that no matter where they are, you can teleport into them. Make sure your team knows you're going to do this. Make sure you tell them that your TP's up, and you can push another lane. You only really want to do this if you're stronger than the people on the other team who will be coming to stop you. If they send one person to stop you, and you are stronger than that person, you can continue to push, and you can try to kill that person, where your team fights a 4-on-4. If the other team tries to push an objective without you, when your team is without you, so in a 5-on-4 situation for the other team, then you need to push as quickly as you can, and then teleport or just start running back to the tower, depending on the objective in general. If it's the Baron, if it's the tower, you don't always have to immediately pop the teleport if the other team isn't forcing you to. The other team has to force your teleport. Don't just let them force it by standing near a tower or walking towards Baron. Make sure that they're in a situation where they're going to be taking an objective unless you teleport in. And make sure you do not teleport into the middle of the enemies. It's often you see a fight starting and you see a ward and you teleport in, and then your team backs out and it turns out that you have teleported into a dangerous situation. Make sure you're using this teleport to get into a good position, not just close to a fight, because if you're close to a fight in a bad position, that is one of the worst things, and you never want to use a summoner spell on a long cooldown to put yourself in a bad position. So split pushing late game can be very effective. Make sure your team knows what you're doing, though. Communicating with the team is very important. If your team doesn't understand that you're trying to push a lane, they'll probably all just follow you, or they'll probably be telling you to come group with them. Explain that you have teleport. Explain that if they need you, they should just ping or say in chat, and you'll be watching the map, and you will respond to any fights they get into. Tell them to play safe, not to do anything too risky, because if they get caught, even with the teleport delay, you're not going to be in the fight immediately. So if they get caught and blown up, and then you port in, you're likely porting into a bad situation. So that's just the basics of using teleport. I'll try to elaborate on this in the future, but it's a good summoner spell. It's one that you need to know how to use correctly. It's one that you have to be very cautious about your use of because of the long cooldown.